Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to be building a kind of secondary server, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm doing some upgrades to the main server and I kind of don't want to waste space with stuff like the archive or pixie booting that's only going to be used a few times, not running all the time like a file server or a Minecraft server, for example. And so in this video, like I said, I will be building a secondary server. I guess the kind of platform I'm using for this is the A10 5800K, and I'll just turn that around. So A10 5800K, and then the FM2 A85X Extreme 6. So this is the platform I got from my computer teacher a few years ago. The reason I'm going with this is because it has 7 SATA ports on it, and I'm using a bunch of old, not really high capacity drives to hold, a bunch of archive data and stuff. So I need a lot of hard drives, and of course more SATA ports means more hard drive support. So I'm going to go ahead and just open the socket there and pop the CPU in. There we go. And then I'll be using this HY710 thermal compound. I actually still have to make that video where I test the different types of thermal compound, the different brands I have. So I'll put a nice little blob there, large heat spreader. And I kind of modified a stock cooler here, so I put a fan grill on top, and this is a different fan from what the first fan was. At my old school, I used to take apart a lot of PCs and scrap them, so I took all the fans with me, and I got a bunch of these nice, I believe they're 60 or 70 millimeter PWM fans, so I use them in a lot of projects actually. They come in handy quite often. And then the way the fan is mounted, it really is a tight run over to the CPU fan header, and that's just for cable management and everything. And then the RAM is going to be the Corsair Value Select stuff. I got this from my friend, and it's only 4 gigs, but I really am kind of at a shortage of DDR3 right now, so it's all I have. And 4 gigs should do all right for a temporary server that isn't even going to be running all the time. I believe this board has it where you put the RAM in next to each other as opposed to every other slot like some do. Kind of an interesting configuration, but I believe in the manual it said that's how you do it. Don't quote me on that. It's been like probably a year and a half since I last read a manual about this board. So I don't really have a good angle here, but I guess this will have to do. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in. I think that is seated in there. And then that will slide in like that, and it fits nicely. The case I'm using is the Raidmax Smilodon, and that is from the i7 PC I got from work. So I kind of took that case and I further restored it as my pile of drive bay covers falls over. And the reason I have those drive bay covers is because I took all the drive bay covers out of the case because I'm going to try and find some 2.5, no, they're 5 1/4 bay to 3.5 inch drive adapter things I got a while back. And I'm going to install those in this. And that will give me a total of, I think, 11 3.5 inch bays that I can use that aren't like, taping the hard drive to the side panel like I did once. So of course my favorite part about this case is I can just, install the motherboard on the back panel and then install the back panel as opposed to, working inside the case and everything. So of course here's the inside of the case with the motherboard installed, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in the 2 fans. So I have the front fan here, and once again, pardon my head cutting across the shot, that fan connector just barely fits onto the motherboard there, so that's actually a nice little run for the cable. And then I have this extremely long fan cable, and I believe I plug that into the bottom header because that one is controlled, and then the one above that is like not controlled and loud. So I guess now we can begin installing the hard drives. So if I kind of, wiggle this drive thing, it's kind of finicky to get out. And the drives I'm going to be putting in here are currently in the Mac Pro server. They're those 1 terabytes. So I don't have those available just yet, but I can install the boot drive, which is going to be this 500 gig laptop drive, and I'm going to be putting that right here, and then I'm going to use this SATA cable from an Xbox 360, I believe, to connect it to that bottom port right there on the board. I'm just going to take some electrical tape and put that here, and I'm not going to be mounting it with electrical tape. I'm going to use this stuff. It's like 3M double-sided foam tape. This stuff is worth its weight in gold. So this is the last strip of electrical tape, and I'm just gonna kind of trim the edges of this. So here is the finished product, and the edges aren't really the best in the world, but they certainly are just fine. So this drive, that's not convenient at all. There's this lip here. Didn't notice that with her. I didn't think that would be as big an issue as it is. It's pretty much blocking the hard drive from sitting on that side. So I will just cut another piece of that tape stuff and attach it there. And that should do. And I guess now we install this tiny SATA cable. I guess I could do with the drive a bit lower, but it's rather late for that, I think. Yeah, this isn't going to work very well. Let's see, can I pull it off without damaging anything? That's pretty good, actually. That went okay. So now with it a bit lower like this, my only worry is interference with the other drive cage, because there's no way this server plan is going to work without it. That drive is mounted, slightly unevenly. I would mount this closer to the motherboard and the connector, but there is dust on the bottom of the case that's going to limit the stickiness of the the tape stuff. So that's why I'm not mounting it that way. And then I'm going to make some custom SATA power cables later. So if we take the drive cage, and I just want to, make sure this works. Putting it in backwards. Yes, that works really well, actually. Of course, this drive thing's a bit hard to put in fully. But yeah, that works really well. I'm happy with that. You can't even see the drive back there. But yeah, this works absolutely fine. So I'm going to pull that back out. And like I said, I'm going to be making some custom SATA power cables.